everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Make Happiness. So I'm your host, Ian Price.
I am your co-host, Eli Prescott, producer, recorder, editor.
And then we got a very special guest, Matt Guf.
Hey.
So we're going to get right into this because we got a lot of stuff to talk about, and it's going to be jam-packed with good content. I know this guy has really good energy, and he's got a lot of stuff to say. So give me a little, let's say, 90-second, who are you? Where'd you come from?
Who am I? Where I come from? I grew up in central Minnesota, the birthplace of America, Alexandria. Moved to Minneapolis in 2000 to study design, and I've been kind of in Minnesota ever since. I'd spent one season one year in Oregon, and kind of moved back.
Oh,
Minnesota
cool.
is where the heart's at, and love what I do. I work for an e-commerce company called thehouse.com, and that's kind of the gist. I got married this summer. And
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Got two dogs and 2 pigs, actually.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know you were allowed to have those here.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think so.
That's awesome.
Now that you say that.
Yeah.
So I know, working at the house, it's very, outdoor sports stuff. I know you're a big guy who's out, always loves nature, doing things outside. Have you always been that way? And was that kind of a thing as a childhood? You're always someone to be outside playing around kind of stuff?
Yeah, actually, it was. In the summers, growing up in Alec, it's like a resort lake town. Everyone lives on the lake,
Right.
And my grandparents kind of lived about 7 miles outside of Alexandria in a small farming town. And I spent a lot of summers out there hanging out with all of my cousins. And we would just run around outside all the time. So doing that in the summers, riding bikes, skateboarding, and then skiing and snowboarding when I was a kid. I always tended to be outside more than inside when I was a kid.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know snowboarding is a really big passion and part of your life, and I know it's kind of your whole thing or what you're surrounded. You're a very known person in Minnesota for snowboarding, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So I was curious, how does that work as far as being, it's your workplace and it's kind of your passion as well? How do those two coincide? Does it get stressful sometimes because it's a work thing, but it's also a fun thing, or do those...
It actually is actually pretty great.
Yeah?
It's actually pretty great. I started riding them in 92 or so, and I've always just kind of loved snowboarding. So being able to have a career
Out of it.
within the industry, kind of just brings a lot more happiness,
Yeah.
to my life, because I get go to photo shoots, go to events. I'm on snow, testing product, riding product.
Yeah.
If I can do
breathe,
that,
sleep.
exactly that. There's one part, my wife and I and another business partner, we started a nonprofit a few years ago, 6 years ago, Vision Elite Sports, and that was like a competitive training program for kids who wanted to compete in snowboarding.
Oh, yeah.
And that was good, but that kind of got stressful because I was there, coaching kids all the time, not really riding for myself so much.
Yeah.
Even though it was really awesome to see kids progress and stuff, but I was spending more time on snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, focusing on the kids and not on myself.
I know you also have that other gig on the side. I don't know if you're still doing it, the Thrash Camp.
Yeah, Thrash Camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do a lot more consulting now. But yeah, Thrash Camp is like a weekend camps for kids, and just a blast. It's kind of just outside the spectrum of ski resort lessons. We have a lot of great partnerships with the area ski resorts to do those.
That's awesome. I remember way back, I was maybe 13 or something. I was working, and that was my first year at Highland. I was in the crowd, and you gave me one of those scrapers. I think that was the first time I met you.
Yeah.
I was so pumped on it. That was the coolest thing ever. I was
yeah.
Oh, check this out, showing all my friends.
Yeah. You still have it?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, it's in the garage.
Awesome. I'll get you some more.
There you go. Cool. So I was wondering, I know, do you have any other passion, or snowboarding is obviously the main one for you? Do you have to have outlets outside of that, or do you kind of...
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny, when something just engulfs your whole life, it's challenging for me to have more outside things. For a long time, I've just kind of segmented my life into family,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Snowboarding, and art. I love design, I love drawing, I love painting.
Yeah.
And I've moved a couple of times. As you grow up, you kind of move around a little bit. And I always kind of segmented my belongings in that way. Mostly just snowboard stuff.
Yeah.
And art stuff. So I to go back to your question, what else do I like outside of snowboarding? Yeah, drawing a lot, being creative. My wife is super creative. She designs clothes and she's a seamstress and does all sorts of stuff. So,
And that was your
those kind of
degree
things.
initially was with design?
Yeah, yep. I studied graphic design and advertising. I went to school for 7 years. I never graduated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. Because snowboarding pulled me out. I was, on the road.
Yeah, you made that decision to pursue that.
Exactly. I was on the road coaching a lot, and I kind of just had to pull out of snowboarding because I was traveling the world coaching kids. Just like, well, guess
I think that's something to be envious of, is like being able to have that job and position that you love doing so much that you didn't really care that you didn't finish school. Like a lot of people, like that's their thing, where it's like, this is my one track thing and this is what I have to do. But you were just like, you know what? I'd rather be doing this, and this is fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think back, I do think back and like, man, maybe I should have finished.
Sure.
But I think, with the amount of experience that I've gained working e-commerce and marketing, it's like
You learned more a bit on the job.
way more. Like even the stuff that I was learning in school is just irrelevant right now.
Right.
Like we're using like damn near floppy disks to store stuff. It's like,
Yeah, I suppose.
it's tech's come a long way.
Well, it's crazy because right now I'm in school for business and I run this Make Happiness stuff on the side, but all the stuff in school is really outdated as well. Like all the textbooks are from like 2012, 2010, and it's no relevant to 2019.
That's a good point. We've advanced so far in all these different technologies and the way that they're used in business and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and we were talking about Instagram earlier and how that can be important to a business. And Ian has his Instagram for Make Happiness, and like that's how you get an outreach to fans or people that are interested in what you do.
Right.
And textbooks probably don't even know what Instagram is at that point.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
So going into the snowboarding a little bit more, what were kind of the biggest things when you had that moment of like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is kind of the thing that I want to invest my life in?
I don't know if there's an exact moment.
Yeah.
There was a funny moment as I grew up snowboarding, I was a regional and national level USASA competitor. So when I moved to Minneapolis in 2000, I got recruited to coach the halfpipe team for the National Sports Center's Community Olympic Development Program.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
There was riders like Mason Aguirre, Stephen Fisher came out of those programs, Nick Botko.
Cool.
And, I was an 18-year-old kid, and like they just needed a half-pipe coach to coach some Groms. And I did that, and then we were able to go do a tour. We do the American Snowboard Tour, the Vans Tour. It's like this Vans like Triple Crown Tour.
Oh, yeah.
And I competed, and I was like finishing middle of the pack, and I was competing against some of the kids that I was coaching at the same time, and they were doing better than me, and I was like,
Feeling pressure.
I'm like, why am I even trying to compete right now?
Yeah.
I'm just going to focus on coaching. So that was my kind of like first little aha moment of like, I really want to just start focusing on working with young athletes and making them better.
What's your favorite thing about coaching?
Instilling a belief system in a group of riders,
Okay.
having them believe in themselves enough, because as a coach, you can look at a rider with a lot of potential. You
Yeah.
can see their potential more than they can see their potential.
Sure.
And then being able to like draw that outside of them, outside of themselves, is like pretty remarkable.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. Have you seen that happen multiple times, I assume?
Yeah, one of my favorite things, one of my absolute favorite stories about coaching is with a rider. His name's Brian Robin. I started coaching him when he was 10 years old, and he was like maybe like 5th or 6th grade, maybe. And I coached him like kind of all through junior high and then through high school. And he got invited to an event in Italy called the Trofeo Topolino. It was a Junior World Championships presented by Walt Disney Europe.
Wow. What?
Yeah, just this huge,
insane.
yeah, it's totally insane. It's a really big international event, and during the time that I had coached Brian, basically from the start to the finish, we had gone through this book called Thinking Body, Dancing Mind by Jerry Lynch and like some other guy's name who I can't pronounce. It's called Thinking Body, Dancing Mind.
Sure.
It's just like tile sport life principles on positive thinking about what you need to do to become the person that you want to become.
Yeah.
And so we had gone through this book for so many years, like cover to cover so many times.
Analyzing it, yeah.
And when we got to this contest, Brian did his run. He actually ended up winning the contest, which was awesome. the Junior World Championships in halfpipe.
Right.
And we were in the condo about to go to this big formal awards ceremony, and Brian goes into the bathroom, gets changed, takes a shower, blah blah blah, comes out, and he was a skate kid growing up. He wore beanies and hoodies and
just
skate
casual
shoes.
clothing.
Yeah, and he came out of the bathroom. He's got like dress slacks on, button-down shirt tucked in, his hair done,
Oh,
dress
funny.
shoes. Yeah. And I was like, wow, Brian, that's a new look for you, man. What's going on? And he said, Guf, I came here to win. These are my podium clothes.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So it was kind of at that moment, like, where like all those years of not just physical training, like doing cross training and being on snow and doing all these drills and blah blah blah, but it's also like that mental aspect.
Yeah.
Of positive encouragement, sports psych, like
Being
all those years
persistent
combined,
yeah.
exactly for that moment. Like he knew enough in his own heart that he was going to win that contest. So he packed his podium clothes. So when he did win, he could wear them. It's like at that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what it's all about.
Yeah, that's epic.
So a lot of what you're saying is a lot of the contest isn't just about the physical, like the fact that you like train to do this stuff, but it's a lot of mental.
Oh
like,
yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? Strength or
Fortitude.
Awareness.
fortitude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. The guys that are at the top peak of their level, like Scotty James, for instance, just won the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys who had the same physical capabilities to win a contest, but it comes down to that day who's more mentally on, who's more strong.
Sure.
Who can get over those little bumps in the road if there happens to be one, and just
Keep themselves focused.
Yep.
I was curious if you have any of those moments. What's something that you kind of visualized or had that, idea at your head and then you watched it come into existence or reality?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. Actually, one when I was like a long time ago, when I was in high school, I ran track. I was a tri-sport athlete and
Oh, no way.
yeah, I did soccer, Nordic skiing, and track.
Cool.
And I remember it was my senior year. I ran the 200. I did high jump, and I was prepping for. There's like a sectional meet in Alexandria, a home meet, and I did a lot of visual preparations, visualization for my 200. And I ended up winning, and I think that was like probably the first time where I realized visualization and
That mentality.
Yes, yeah, definitely helps.
And I also know that you're really into reading. And actually, when you came in the door, you gave me a book, which is pretty badass. And I was just like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you're into now as far as reading. Like, what books are you into?
Oh, right now, on my nightstand, I probably have 30 books. I kid you not.
Yeah, I'm at like 20.
Yeah. Right now I'm going through Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life.
Okay.
Yep, he's a social psychologist, formerly, I think he taught at MIT, now he's at University of Toronto.
Yeah. I know he's out of Canada.
Yep. Great, really cool book. Then I'm reading Jocko Willick's Extreme Leadership. He's a Navy SEAL.
Okay.
I've been through the book I gave you, Good to Great, a few times, and there's a second book called, I can't remember now, but this is a fantastic book. Basically, how to go from decent to like exceptional. That's what that book's about. So I'm happy to give it to you.
No, that's awesome. I appreciate it. Have you heard or read the 7 Habits of Success?
Effective?
Yeah.
Or which one?
The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's really good too.
Yeah, my dad gave me that one. Like a long time ago. That's an old book.
Yeah, it is. There's also one by Les Brown called Live Your Dreams. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he has
Les Brown, dude. I brainwashed myself with that guy on
yeah,
YouTube.
His book is phenomenal.
I gotta get that.
Dude, I can let you have it.
All right.
Yeah.
Book swap.
Yeah, cool, man. So this is going to be a little bit transitioning into someone who, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's looking for that passion, looking for that drive? Because I know it's a very rare breed for like you and me and Eli and people to kind of find that passion and go all in, pursue it, go 110%.
Right.
How do you help someone who's in that gray area trying to find that thing?
I think, well, first you have to look at where a person's thoughts are at. The average person has about 80,000 thoughts a day.
Yeah.
It's self-talk, ideas, blah, blah, blah.
Conversations.
That's just bouncing on your own head.
Yeah.
It's like 80% of that is negative self-talk.
Oh, really?
That's like 40. That's like not 80. How was it? There's like 48,000 of those
or just self-doubt or like self-conscious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like well over 50%. And that's kind of like a scary thing. It's like, well, if you want to be passionate, you want to have drive, you want to love your life, it's like you have to control the thoughts in your mind. If you go to a dark place, even with like just conversations that you're having with another person in your own mind and they go negative, it's like you have to stop those things. You have to constantly think about things that are positive.
Yeah.
Like use your head, use your mind and your heart to really focus on what is greater than what is your current circumstances.
Sure.
Because the voices that you believe will determine your future. If you believe that you're able to do something, start a podcast, start a business.
Yeah.
Do whatever.
Snowboarding, yeah.
It's snowboarding. You have to be able to believe that you're able to achieve that, and then be able to do it. You almost have to lie to yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
But if at least you're telling yourself something positive.
Definitely. And I think it's really hard too when someone, they really want to do something really passionate and then everyone around them is like, no, you can't do that. Or like, you can't, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
Those are the
bit of delusion and trying to be successful in your passions and stuff like that. Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's tough. It's kind of weird too. Like I had a conversation yesterday. This guy, he was presenting an idea for this business that he wanted to start. That's I've kind of seen tried a couple of times.
Oh, sure.
And I didn't want to fill his mind with doubt, but I was being realistic with him. Like, these are some of the challenges that you're going to face if you try to do this. It's already been done a couple of times, or tried to be done a couple of times.
Right.
And I could tell by looking at him that he didn't care what I was saying. He's going to try it anyway.
He was so focused.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's great.
And then he has that, maybe when he's trying it out, he'll be like, oh yeah, Guf said this or that, and then he can go work around it or whatever. But cool. So how did you first start about training your mind, training your thoughts, and kind of having that focus? Were you always that way, or did you have to constantly think about it and like really start paying attention to what you were doing?
Yeah, I think, there's a moment where people kind of become self-aware.
Oh, sure.
You're like, oh gosh, I'm a person. Like I can control this. Life isn't just happening to me.
Sure.
And that happened to me at a pretty young age. I think I was maybe 11. I really started thinking about, okay, there's something different, unique, and special about me. What is that?
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about my thoughts more. Even as like a junior high kid, I was a punk ass kid. I was not good at school.
Yeah.
Especially in junior high. And I was just not a good kid, but I had this ability to think about my life pretty well. And my dad, he gave me a book, and my grandfather gave me another book. It's the same book, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I read that I think in junior high school. It's not about just learning how to make friends. It's learning how to communicate with people.
Yeah, and just communicate with yourself. And
I almost think that's more important, because you say like in junior high you were this punk ass kid who he didn't care about school, and I think that's almost better in a sense, because you're learning to be a more like social creature. You're trying new things and you're experiencing life, when school shouldn't be necessarily at that age maybe like your most key thing, like that, like high school is a little bit more intense than that, and that's where these higher institutions look at anyways. So I think those formative years are more important, that you're being an individual and trying these new things, or being yourself, really,
or trying to figure out who I really was at the time. Yep.
That's cool. It's funny because I kind of had the same thing a little bit. I know when I was like 13, my brother introduced me to it, but he kind of showed me about the law of attraction. And that was the first thing when I kind of started to really get into like self-awareness and thoughts, and, thinking about what I'm doing and thinking about my day and thinking about all these, like actually, focusing on what I wanted and all those different aspects of it, which was really cool. Because then you start, having some fun with it, and you start, like all my friends in high school, and Eli was there. It was crazy how different I was from everyone else. And I knew that I was just doing my own thing. And I kind of realized, I was like, well, it doesn't matter if I fit in or not. I'm just going to be myself, and I'm just going to do what I want to do. Like I biked to school every day of my freshman year of high school. Hell yeah. I didn't miss one day of school. Biked every day, winter, rain, snow, whatever it was.
Wow. That's awesome. I think that's super important, like being yourself. Even if you don't know who you are.
Right.
That's a hard thing too. It's like, as someone who grows up, it's like you have all these influences on your life.
Yeah.
And you kind of want to fit in, you want to be cool, but you also want to be true to yourself. And sometimes you just got to throw away everything, all these expectations that other people have
Sure.
of you, and just live the way you think your life should be lived.
Right, regardless of what other people think that you should live your life.
Right, right. I think some of the most exceptional people that I know live the furthest away from other people's expectations of them. You know?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it was funny talking about acceptance. Earlier this morning, I just put out a new blog on my website about a story about acceptance. It was actually last summer. I was longboarding in Dinkytown waiting for my girlfriend to be done with some errands. I was going to go over to the apartment and hang out Saturday night. And I was sitting on this bench it was over kind of by 35, and, you know, it's college town and it's Saturday night, so there's kids walking around, and I'm really obsessed with writing. So I was just sitting on this bench writing in my journal. All these kids are staring at me like I'm some weirdo or just some like, you know, what the fuck is this kid doing writing in a journal?
Right.
And I'm just like, you know what, whatever. Like, I'm just doing me. I'm just doing my own thing, like, regardless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. That's good.
Yeah.
Gotta be you, you know?
There's something I did want to touch on. Have you always had that drive to kind of, let's go back to your snowboarding and the career kind of thing. Did you always want to make a living out of snowboarding, or did you want to be pro snowboarder out of the beginning, or like how did?
Well, I think I knew pretty early on that I wasn't going to be pro.
Sure.
but
Yeah.
I loved it so much. There's something so. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It's about
freedom,
being
maybe?
being on a mountain and riding down it in conditions like today. It's like 28 degrees. It's sunny out. It's like, whoa. There's something special about being on snow. What was your question? I'm getting lost in thought here.
No, that's awesome. We'll just keep going with that, because actually I was curious what your thoughts were about how much snow we've been getting these past couple weeks. You know, this whole like month of February.
It's great. My neighbors think I'm crazy. 'Cause
Yep.
So I have a Subaru in a Ford F-150. So we don't really like shovel our driveway.
Sure.
So we just like ram through it every day.
That must be nice.
Yeah. It's pretty great. And our neighbors, like, they keep their driveways like nice and shoveled, and they get a snowblower. And,
Yeah,
like,
perfect condition.
yeah, ours is just like chaos.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, we talking about all the snow. We mentioned this in the last podcast, but we made an igloo, or like it's called a quinzee actually, because we didn't make it with blocks. We dug out a pile of snow, and that's the technical term is a quinzee, which is kind of funny.
Okay.
But yeah, we had 4 chairs in there. We had a mini keg. We grilled in there, and it was an awesome time. Just to make the most out of all the snow we've been getting, because so many people are just like, oh, I hate this. You know, it's time to, like, I'm ready for summer, and it's like, make the most of what you have.
Exactly. My wife Sarah and I, we besides snowboarding, we Nordic ski, we snowshoe, and with all this snow, it's like we've been able to like snowshoe around a bunch.
Yeah, especially just on regular parks too.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to go anywhere. You just go outside and you can use it.
That's right.
Cool. And so I wanted to transition a little bit into fulfillment, and this was a really cool topic actually. I was curious and wondering Eli's answer on this. Do you think you can actually achieve self-fulfillment?
No.
You don't think so?
No. I think I don't. I think there's a place where you can be content with your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think you can be comfortable there. If maybe, you know, if that could be fulfillment, where you just get to a point in your life where you're just kind of content.
Mm-hmm.
But for me in my life, I think I will always be striving for something.
Sure.
I will always have a goal. I always have a plan
To do more.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's like faith, hope, and love, the 3 things that will endure forever. It's like
Sure.
hope is something that I think I will always have. Like, I hope for things to happen. You know, I'm always looking forward to something.
Yeah.
So self-fulfillment, I feel really fulfilled right now. But I think every day is just like another step towards becoming a greater person than I was the day before. So it's always like moving forward.
I think that's a good mentality.
Yeah.
And I would think like when you get you achieve something you're really proud of, you know, you have a goal or whatever you accomplish. I think that is, you know, you are excited about it and you are fulfilled, but how long does that energy and that stuff last? And
Like, it shouldn't stop there.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you gotta keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing when he was saying that. I was like, you should always have one goal higher than what your current goal is. It's like
Right.
it's like a ladder in a sense, like a
Right.
never-ending ladder of things you want to achieve. And if you feel like you're fulfilled and like your life is like, well, what do I do now? Nothing. Like I've did what I want to do. Like
Sure.
that just seems so boring and
Well then,
lackluster. Like, you should always want to do more.
yeah,
you
and then
shouldn't limit yourself to not you're just doing like the one thing that you wanted to do, and then it's more fulfilling, and I think in a sense to want to do something more
and continue to grow.
Yeah,
because I feel like when you reach that, if you achieve a goal, you sit in it for a while, then it wears off, and then I feel like you don't want to do more because you're just like, I'm here, I'm content, whatever, and then you kind of live in that stagnant spot for a while versus just continuing to make new goals and continue to grow that way.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing, you know. Like it all comes down to an individual. Like there's a guy. I used to. This is a good one. Not really a great one.
No, it sounds great by the.
No.
Can't wait.
So I used to. I had a friend who was like a district manager for a couple of restaurants, steakhouses, and nightclubs in downtown Minneapolis.
Sure.
It was called Downtown Entertainment.
Okay.
And I used to go out a lot when I was in my mid-20s, and I ended up actually just working at this one of the nightclubs called Spin Nightclub, and because of my structure, I'm a pretty tall, large guy.
Yeah, it fits your build.
Yeah. So I started working like front door security and stuff, and I got to know all these people, and I'd see these people every single weekend coming out, buying bottles, like doing bottle service and stuff, and I ran into a couple of these guys a while back. They're still doing the same thing.
Oh, wow.
Just kind of doing the same jobs that they're doing. It's just like, man, it's like you're a cool individual. You got a lot of potential,
right?
But you're just kind of like doing the same shit, man. And that was like 15 years ago.
That makes me wonder maybe if they're like, that's not something that they really necessarily care about, but maybe they have some sort of side hobby or thing that they love doing on the side. Like Ian works right now at this QBP, this facility.
Yeah, quality bike parts.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude.
And it's not necessarily what he wants to do for his whole life, he said. And he has this whole make happiness thing on the side that maybe some people don't know about. So I mean, it could be one thing or another. You could be exactly right where, what are they getting out of this really, maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something. But like I think that's one thing that a lot of people forget is like, especially young college grads, it's like, oh, I can't find a job. It's like, yeah, you can. You just gotta drop your ego a little bit, go do something that sucks.
Yeah.
Right.
Earn some stripes and then get on with your life. You know what I mean? Like you gotta grind it out. There was a time before I worked full time with the house. I was working like 5 jobs. Just doing random odds and ends. I was like wearing myself down, but at the end of the day, I'm here on this awesome podcast.
And that shaped you to who you are, I'm assuming, with an outstanding work ethic, having to manage all of that.
Yep.
Which is something I've learned because I work full-time, go to school full-time, and do Make Happiness on the side. It's like my time management is just like on point.
Yeah.
But
that's congrats. That's nice.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, though.
Yeah.
And going back to talking about a job that you don't like, I know, like working at QVP, I love, but it's a warehouse job, so I'm just shipping orders all day.
Yep.
But it's all bike parts, so it's just like if I was, shipping snowboard parts all day. Like it's fun to be in that environment in that industry, but it's not necessarily like that specific job I would want to be.
Yep.
So it's cool just like being at where I'm at now, and it's like this is where I'm at, but it's not necessarily where I'm going to be, and I got the focus of like I'm going to get somewhere else. And
exactly. Yep. Nice work. And I bet you get a really good discount on bike parts.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I get paid to bike to work, which is pretty awesome.
Do you really? They pay you to bike to work?
Yeah. So I bike 5 days a week. I bike over 100 miles a week, and just
boom.
Yeah. And then
they have this little log where you like log your bike miles or whatever, and at the end of a certain period or something like that, you can
every month
cash them in and
you buy more bike parts with that money for commuting.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a good idea.
Right. And you can do that also if you carpool or like if you ski in, because it's right over by Highland Park Reserve. So if you park at Highland, cross country ski into work, you get those points too.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. It's just about, one less car on the road kind of thing. Just like.
What a great initiative.
Yeah. It's really cool.
QBP.com. Is it .com?
Yeah. Quality bicycle products.
Yeah.
#1 in the nation or world. I'm sure it's North America for sure.
Yeah.
But apologies for the dog if you can hear the dog barking. We are house sitting right now, and I locked the dog in the room because the dog and the cats don't get along very well. So I figured there's going to be a lot more than there is now. So we'll see.
So good.
Yeah. Going into this is going to be a little bit more broad, talking about our society. What are your kind of? I know it's wonderful. It's like music.
Yeah.
Just wants attention. Just wants love.
I should let her out maybe, but I feel like I don't know. We'll see. Do you think what are some favorites and least favorites about our society in today's world and our generation with?
Oh man, favorites and least favorites. That's a gigantic.
It's a loaded question.
That
Yeah,
is a big one. Least favorite thing. I think at least I'll start with the bad news. Least favorite thing is that people don't believe in themselves enough. I don't think people set their goals high enough, and I think most people just let their lives happen to them. They don't take charge. They don't realize that they make their lives. That's just kind of it. I don't think people believe in the power of themselves. I think that's my least favorite thing. There's so many people just kind of like
skate by.
That's right.
I am guilty of that somewhat often. I just like certain things. I'm just like, well, it's gonna happen. Is what's gonna happen is gonna happen or whatever. I feel like sometimes I don't really take charge of what I want, and I don't fully commit myself to going after it. And
You've been working on it though this year. You've been doing a lot more.
Yeah.
Nice.
But that I don't know, just what you said really made me think about myself, and I gotta buckle down.
Yeah. You know, like I find that in myself too sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like I read all the time. I read books all the time. But am I applying the things that I think are good from the books that I'm reading into my life?
Right.
Or am I just reading another book about making actions happen?
Yeah.
It's like,
Like you read profound quotes and it's like, oh, there's so much meaning in this, but
Yeah.
then it's just like
You don't
5
do
minutes
anything
later
with
you
it.
don't care.
Yeah. But then the exact opposite side, there is one of my favorite things about people is like people who make things happen. Like my wife, for instance, Sarah, she is the most profound go-getter there is. She's constantly doing projects. She's constantly making moves and doing things. And that's one of the things I love about her the most. It's just like she just like makes stuff happen. It's
Right.
incredible. And I like seeing people like yourselves, like who are out there trying to make things happen. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And you know, like compassion projects that people have.
Sure.
You know, like helping people who are in need. Like I like seeing that kind of thing.
Like the stuff that 1817 was doing with the donations and whatnot.
Oh, that's a great thing with the Lupit Foundation.
Yeah.
At, Theodore Wirth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great example. Super good example.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I think a lot of that too, I think having this in this world of generation with technology and everything is so easily accessible. I think it's allowing a lot more people to kind of see that creativity and see that potential of like, it's a blank canvas. You literally can do whatever you want. You can paint wherever.
Right.
But I think on that other side coin, like you were talking about earlier, some people maybe just don't, I don't know if there's a block in their mental or where it is, but they just don't see that perspective necessarily, or they can't, you know, they're not open up yet.
And you know, like a lot of people, they have a lot. People grow up in hard situations sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't have an outlook. You know, they don't have an example to look up to live by.
Right.
You know, and that's why there's like I think so much trouble. So, you know, like even here in Minnesota and Minneapolis, it's like there's a lot of shitty things that happen to people. And
Yeah.
people do a lot of shitty things to each other. It's like, well, if they had better examples to live by and expectations again.
Yeah.
There'd probably be. I think the world would be a better place.
No doubt. And then also, too, I think growing up in those hard conditions or being in those difficult situations, then that's kind of what your mind thinks. Because like we were talking about earlier, that's the scenarios that you're going to be thinking about. So you don't think that you can do these other things because this is all you know.
Right.
And your mind is kind of set. You know, you don't have that opportunity because you think this is how my life is. This is what I'm going to be. I don't have any opportunity to grow or whatever.
Right.
It really does seem so simple, and it just kind of makes you think like, what, why?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I think if every person has one person to look up to in a positive manner, I think the world would be a much better place.
For sure.
You know, like just think about anyone who's listening and you guys. Like, think about the people who've instilled something positive in your life and go, damn. Like I that person is leading by example, and I want to live my life that way.
Right.
And like I have those people in my life where like I kind of pick and choose. Like, oh, one of my mentors, Scott, he lives his life this way. I kind of want to
pick that piece.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
exactly.
that's cool. And it's honestly, it's one of the greatest feelings in the world. I'm sure you've experienced this. And I didn't tell you about this yet either. I was going to earlier, but I forgot. I got a letter in the mail. So every Make Happiness order, you get the item you purchase, and you also get a hand-typed letter off my typewriter.
Boom.
Kind of a thank you note, kind of, and then also like a little, random journal of just my thoughts, whatever I'm thinking about that day, which is pretty cool. And they actually wrote me back and sent me a physical letter thanking me for that letter because they were so like in awe by the fact that they,
Wow.
received this in addition to their part or their shirt that they got, which is awesome. And they were just so excited on the fact that
You got a pen pal now.
Dude,
yeah.
That's great service right there.
Right.
Good job.
No, it's really cool because I would have never expected that. And the fact that she was so humble and just like, thank you. Like, I love what you're doing and this is awesome. I loved your letter. And like, I put it up on my door so I can see it every day and read it. And I'm just like, wow.
Boom.
That was, yeah.
Awesome.
It was one of
The
it was
first
a cool
one of
memory.
many, I hope.
Yeah, we'll see.
Come to Ian's room in 5 years and it's just plastered with like notes.
Thank
and, like,
yous.
yeah.
That's good.
No, it's a good motivator because now it's like, wow. Like,
Oh,
if
for sure.
If I made that impact on someone, like, wow. It's one of those things where it's, I don't know, it's really hard to put into words. Just having that like positive impact or that, motivation to help someone else and, help them grow or help them change direction or whatever, and make a change in their life. And that's the whole thing why I'm doing Make Happen, is just so I can help others kind of have that lasting positive change and make that decision and be like, oh, I can snowboard for the rest of my life, or I can, ride bikes for the rest of my life and have fun. I don't have to get a desk job. I don't have to do that. There are like other ways to, I don't know, live.
Yep.
Cool. I don't know. That was just a little rant.
No, that's great.
Yeah, right on, man. I was curious. So mental health, we talked about it quite a bit, obviously, but what about physical health? Do you think that you are more someone who kind of works out routinely, or do you try to, or do you just snowboarding and that's kind of your physical workout?
Oh man, gosh, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I'm really glad you bring that up. I've been paying for a gym membership for so long. And it's like I'm just throwing like $40 a month away. Just
right.
like, here you go, have it. Don't care. But on a more serious note, I had a close friend growing up who has recently gotten into some very serious health issues, where his he made some unwise choices, and his liver's failing him.
Oh, sure,
he's like all of his organs are shutting down. We're the same. He's a little younger than me. I'm 37.
Oh, wow.
He's had a couple heart attacks. He's like, it's like he didn't take care of himself.
Yeah.
He had some chemical dependency issues and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, and I think we haven't stayed close for 20 years, but that's kind of been his life for 20 years.
Right.
And
so having that brought in, or like a reminder for you, you're just like, okay, maybe I should do something.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Start running. Snowboarding is like, snowboard a lot.
Are you going to hit 100 days?
I don't think I'm going to hit 100 days.
No?
I had a goal this season. I've just been kind of slacking. I've been staying too late at the office, so by the time I get home, the resort's closed. And I'm like, shoot. But I do have a guy, a buddy. His name is Scott Cracker. He did like 120 days last season at Buck Hill, and he uses snowboarding as like his exercise instead of buying a gym membership. So every day on his way home from work, he stops at Buck, he does a couple runs, and then he goes about his day. He's got to be on at least like 115 right now.
Wow.
I'm at like, I think today, I'm going to go ride today after this. It'll be day 56.
Nice.
So if I hit 70, I'm going to be pumped, but that's almost even a stretch.
I think you could get there.
I think so too. I think so. I'm just going to have to really go for it.
Yeah, well, who knows? I mean, we could have some late snows.
We could.
And there's enough on the ground to last for a while.
Yeah.
That's right. Hopefully it doesn't rain again.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey.
I was telling Ian when I showed up that my porch was flooding because the ice was like sort of blocking up this one spot where like this sort of
drain.
Not really a drain necessarily, but there's like we have this concrete before there's a patio in my backyard, and so this back porch of mine, just the ice blocked up. There's like snow kind of up to this one section in there, and when it started raining, the rain just kind of fell down and started melting more snow and just seeping underneath the door. And it's just,
oh no!
So I was out there for a while in the rain, chopping up this ice and
Trying
like
to get it
shoveling
out.
the snow and like sweeping this water away from the door.
Yeah, it's weird how like one small problem that you don't really pay attention to can build up to a lot bigger problems.
Yeah.
Because another issue was there were ice dams in the gutter above my bedroom, and it started leaking into my bedroom. I'm like, no.
Right.
That was at like 1 a.m, and so I went out with my mom actually at like 1:30 in the morning, just like
Chipping away.
shoveling and trying to get all this crap off my roof. And it's
Yeah, that's that's like
a good time.
one thing my dad and his dad, my grandfather, kind of taught me was just really figuring out those problems right away. So solving problems. I heard a story a while back. It was about this family who had a house, and it was like basically a brand new house. They had a crack in the corner, like a brand new house, crack in the corner in their like living room.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so they called the painter, and they're like, "Yo, I got a crack." And painter came over and he's like, yeah, it's not an issue with the paint. It's not a bad paint job. It's your framing's off. So they called the framer. Framer came over, looked over. He's like, yeah, it's not a framing issue. It's a foundation issue.
Oh,
geez.
Yeah, it's like you get these stories like that, like ice dams and build up, and then all of a sudden seeping on your in your house or something. It's like if you stop a problem right away, it's gonna stop even worse stuff later on the road. Like exercise, I'm almost hitting 40. I got to really start paying attention to what I eat and how much I exercise more now than ever.
Right. Yeah. Do you is it easier to kind of pick up on those, if you notice it first versus waiting till it's like 5 tiers down? Or is it, how do you notice it first? Well, it's small before it gets to one of those big things.
You don't quite know it's a problem yet.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I think maybe just try to address every little thing. I fell snowboarding when I was a kid, and I was trying my first wildcat, and I got about halfway upside down and fell on my head, straight up.
Classic.
Yeah, and I still have this creak in my back.
Oh shit.
And I'll get it worked out every once in a while, but. I probably should have had it looked at when I was a kid.
That's a good question. How do you? I'm assuming you've probably had your fair amount of injuries. How do you come back from those? With your mental and physical, do you just kind of work yourself or?
Yeah, it's a slow process. I haven't had too many injuries. I've had some sprains, and I sprained both my wrists earlier this season. They still get hurt. Oh, it sucks. Man. Yeah, but I've only broken my wrist. I was at USSA Nationals a couple years ago. And fell in practice doing a cab 3, the easiest damn trick there is.
It's not that easy, but it's
yeah, and but that's the only major injury. But I think reading through stuff, if you're injured in your downtime and getting fully recovered before you get back on snow.
Yeah.
Jesse Paul has an amazing story.
Yeah.
Yeah, about his recovery process. He broke his leg, hit a street spot. He was out for a good while. He was reading. He fully trained. He trained to do a triathlon. So by the time he got back on the snow, he was able to do. It is pretty incredible. And Brady Lem's kind of going through the same thing. He broke his leg filming a spot.
That's right.
He's in Minneapolis now, just reading books, training, getting on the bike. It's just a really slow process. Yeah. But before you get back on your board, you have to just get fully recovered. Don't go at 80%. You got to wait till you're 100% good to go.
I think that's something you could really ask yourself, is because since I've known Ian, he's had so many broken bones. Really,
oh no,
just from
I'm at 19 or 20.
Oh my gosh,
it's insane. And I'm just thinking, Ian, you could really ask yourself this question. I mean, I know it's you want the guest to be able to share their side of the thing, but it's
what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah.
I ride a lot of bikes.
Switch it around.
I don't know. I tend to push my boundaries. I don't know who it was. Maybe Evie Knievel or someone, or maybe it was Matt Hoffman. But he said, if you live your life and you don't break anything, you've never used your body to the fullest. I mean, your body can heal itself, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, that's pretty great.
I just kind of test my limits of what's possible and figure out that maybe I can hurt myself. And out of all I'm young, I figure this is the best time to figure that out, right? Because your bones are going to heal quicker.
Right. I give you credit for that for sure.
Better to do it when you're 16 than 60.
Right.
But
I've definitely learned, I tend to, or when I used to, not anymore, I've learned that be patient, kind of wait till you're fully healed before you jump back on snow or jump back on the bike.
Yeah.
Before in high school and middle school, I was a little bit more, reckless, and I would get back on the snow. There was one time I broke my foot. I don't remember what I was doing, but when I got back, I was in a boot for however long, 8 weeks or whatever.
Oof.
And it was towards the end of the season. I was going to be out for the rest of the season. I was like, I can't let this happen. So me being me, I decided to just use the boot as my snowboard boot.
Come on.
So I didn't hit anything. I just took a couple carves, just a couple runs down south at Highland.
Oh my gosh.
It was the best thing ever, but probably shouldn't have done that.
Probably shouldn't have.
I'm still in one piece.
Yeah. That's pretty tight. Do you film it or shoot it?
No, well, I have a photo somewhere on Facebook of me with a cast as my snowboard boot, but
it's dedication right there.
Yeah, had to get those carves in, and it's one of those fulfilling moments. I feel like coming back from injury, you take your first carve, ride your first chair, It's such a good feeling just to be back out in the mountains and riding again.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with my biking. When I had all those injuries, I broke my collarbone multiple times. I've done I've done my tibia and fibula. I've broke both of them. I've done fingers, hands, pretty much it.
Just
Yeah. So pedaling back on the bike, just being on it, you know, not necessarily doing tricks or whatever, just like having that in itself is so gratifying and such a good feeling to just get back.
right. Yep. And you're kind of talking about that. It's like what you had asked earlier. What do you do for exercise? It's like, well, now I'm kind of at a stage where I kind of want to explore new things.
Yeah.
Like this summer, spring's going to come around. It's like, okay, do I get into road biking? Do I get into mountain biking? Like, should I start racing BMX? Do I do jujitsu? I don't know.
Right.
It's like, I think now if I'm going to start another kind of like passion,
Yeah.
I better start now.
Right.
Just like why not?
Better now than never.
Exactly.
Yeah. Road biking and mountain biking is sweet. We have a lot of good infrastructure here for biking.
That's right. And
Yeah.
Highland's close.
Yeah.
Right. Even the paved trails over at the Three Rivers Park District. They're great.
Awesome. Mhm.
What's that? Bloomington River Flats down on Lindale.
Yeah, the river bottom trails.
Yeah.
And there's also some over in Theo and around the lakes too. You got all those trails.
Right.
We also have a bike highway called the Greenway.
The Greenway is rad.
Yeah.
I spilled. I spilled on the Greenway. The great thing about the Greenway is like it's a way to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Off the streets if you've been drinking. So I was with Sarah and my buddy Jake, and we were like out. We had a couple of beers, had dinner and
Of
stuff.
course.
And,
Yeah.
And we're on the Greenway just like messing around. And as some of the viewer or listeners who may not know, the Greenway is like an old railroad track, and there's like brand new condos basically lining.
Yeah.
Well, a couple sections of the Greenway, and I was messing around, like trying to do wheelies and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I spilled so hard, and it was like 2 a.m. There's all these people out on their balcony, just like, yeah.
Right. You're just getting a little bit too confident.
Oh, totally. little juice.
Yeah, I've definitely been there before, but they're good stories.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool. Awesome. That's a really good. I think we talked about a lot of shit. We just hammered it all out.
Good.
I was curious if you had any last or like different topics you want to talk about, or anything you wanted to chip in or ask me, or random little things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with the subject of make happiness, which I think is such a brilliant thing. Make. Like you can make your happiness.
Right.
Like even from maybe I don't understand it as well as you guys do who've created it. But just the action of making something happen, making something positive happen is brilliant.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and people should apply that into their lives. With anything that you do, it's good to visualize. And we were talking earlier about positive thoughts and people's negative thoughts. It's like when you work with in any type of like elite level athletics, you work with visualization and seeing something before you actually do it or achieve it. And part of that visualization is that when you close your eyes and you're thinking about doing something, if at any moment in your visualization something bad or incorrect happens, you have to stop that visualization right away.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with life. It's like if you're visualizing creating your life and you're thinking about whatever it is you want to do, visualize it actually happening flawlessly, because you can control your thoughts in your mind.
Right.
At the single second that something bad happens in your visualizations or your thought process, I just stop and restart from the beginning.
Oh yeah, replay it.
Yeah.
That's a good one, because it's definitely, and it gets really hard sometimes, because sometimes that bad thought or that bad scenario or that one action is going to continue to come back every time you visualize.
Festers in your head.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, have you guys watched Dawnwall?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that lateral 300 feet.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like that. There's that one spot every time. The guy wasn't able to get to it, but
No, that's cool.
Yep.
And that's so make happiness is kind of, it's a lot. It started off as just, well, it still is. I mean, honestly, I don't even know what the mission statement is, really. It's just
that's all right.
Yeah, it's just kind of, creating your own happiness, your own fulfillment, your own life that you dream about living every day. So why not create that for yourself, kind of thing.
Yep.
So
that's great. That's super great. It's cool. It's really cool what you guys are doing. It's like, one of the things I always try to live by is like have a mentor and be a mentor. And you guys are like creating these things for people to like kind of inspire to do similar things that you guys are doing is like incredible.
Well, that's why I was super excited to get you on, because actually it was funny after watching you at the Honest Studios kind of guest speaker thing I think it was in December, but
Yeah.
after watching that, I was like, I need to get Guf on the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then kind of I wanted to wait until we had a little bit more traction, a little bit more ground. Now we're on iTunes, which is pretty awesome.
That's huge.
Yeah. So
Well, I'm so glad again, like that you guys invited me over to chat, and hopefully everyone who's listening, you got a little golden nugget here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always fun. Like I shoot a lot of videos for YouTube and for the house, and going back and listening to some of them, like, man, my voice sounds really weird, or like I didn't articulate what I wanted to say as well as I wanted to.
Right,
But
you nitpick.
but I think the questions that you brought up today, the things that we talked about, I think everyone will appreciate something. So.
Oh, definitely. And that was the one thing too. We try to keep it like we go like cover enough topics that any listener could pick up one thing out of it, which is cool.
Right.
So awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and enjoy your snowboarding after this.
Thank
Where
you.
you headed?
Thank you very much.
I think you're welcome. I think we go to Buck.
Oh yeah.
I think they got a mini stunt ditch. It's like a mini pipe with a bunch of little gym features on top.
Oh, that's cool.
Did it yesterday, and it was sick. So I'm gonna go back.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for listening, and I appreciate you, everyone, because without you listening, I wouldn't be where I am. So thank you very much. And as always remember to make some happiness.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.